It happened on a quiet Thursday morning, deep in the Appalachian forest. I was still rubbing sleep from my eyes when someone knocked on my door. And by someone, I mean a bear. I swear to you, I opened the old, creaky door of my service cabin, and there she was, a massive black bear. Her fur was soaked, clumped with mud and sap. But that wasn't the most shocking part. It was her eyes. They were red, swollen. Wet streaks ran down her snout like she had been crying. And in her mouth, hanging gently from her jaw, was a tiny, limp bear cub. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. I just stood there, half-dressed, barefoot, feeling the cold wooden floor under my feet. We stared at each other for what felt like forever. Then she slowly bent her head down and laid the cub on the porch, just 2 feet from my boots. And she stepped back. She didn't growl. She didn't threaten me. She just looked up, as if she were begging. My name's Brian Keller. I'm no vet. I'm not even a wildlife specialist. I service radio towers and power lines in the most remote parts of this forest. That's my job. But in that moment, I was the only human being for miles. And I was her only hope. Okay. I whispered, more to myself than to her. Okay. I knelt down slowly, never breaking eye contact with her. The cub wasn't moving. His chest barely rose. He was warm, but barely. His nose was crusted. His breathing was shallow and wheezy. I gently picked him up, expecting the mother to lunge at me. But she didn't. She stepped closer, sniffed his body as it lay in my arms, then let out the softest grunt. A sound I can't even describe. It was pain and trust wrapped together. Inside the cabin, I cleared off the old bench by the window. I laid the cub on a folded towel and got to work. My mind was racing, my hands trembling. I grabbed the first aid kit, found gauze, a thermometer, rubbing alcohol. Nothing in there was made for a bear, but it was all I had. I cleaned the cub's nose, trying to open the airways. I heated a bottle of water over the gas stove and added honey, the only sugar source I had. I filled a syringe with the warm liquid and slowly dripped it into the corner of his mouth. 1 drop, then another. He twitched. That's it, I murmured. Come on, little guy. Come on. Outside, the mother paced. She didn't leave the porch. I kept glancing at her through the cracked door. Her body swayed with anxiety. Her breathing was fast. 2 hours passed. The cub vomited a yellowish bile once, and I nearly lost hope. But then his breathing deepened. Slower. Stronger. I wrapped him in a warm shirt and placed a hot water bottle beside him. I stayed up all night. That night, the wind picked up, howling through the trees like a chorus of whispers. I kept the fire going and whispered to the cub, telling him stories from my childhood, anything to keep myself focused. I told him about my old dog Max, about the time I broke my arm falling from a tree, about the first time I kissed a girl behind the school gym. Silly stories. Human stories. I don't know why I did it. Maybe I just didn't want him to be alone. That morning, I climbed the old pole out back and realigned the satellite dish. After 3 tries, I got a weak signal. I messaged my friend Zach, who works with a wildlife rehab center 2 counties over. Sick cub. Emergency. Need help. Can you get here? Signal cut out. No response. Nothing I could do now. The cub made it through the night. On the 2nd day, he lifted his head. I fed him mashed banana and honey. The mother watched through the screen door, huffing now and then, but not moving. I talked to her like she was a neighbor. I told her everything I was doing. Not that she understood the words, but she seemed to listen. That afternoon, I stepped out onto the porch. She rose on her hind legs, but didn't come closer. I held the cub in my arms, now wrapped in a blanket. I walked toward her slowly. She sniffed the bundle. The cub squealed. She lowered herself, grumbled gently, and nuzzled his head. He reached out a paw. It was something sacred, like witnessing a prayer being answered. They stayed by the cabin 2 more days. I think she knew the cub wasn't out of the woods yet. I shared apples and oatmeal. She never took the food in front of me, only when I went inside. One night, while they slept under the pines outside, I stepped out with my flashlight. I stood there for a long time, watching them breathe. It struck me how easily she could have attacked me, how wild she truly was. And yet, she had chosen to trust. On the 4th morning, I woke up to find them gone. Just silence and a few paw prints in the mud. I thought that was the end of it. But 1 week later, I heard scratching at the door. I opened it, and there they were. The mother and the cub. Healthy, bright-eyed. And between them, on the porch floor, lay a freshly caught trout. A gift. They didn't stay. They just stood there for a moment. then turned and walked into the trees. Every spring since then, and it's been 5 years now, they've returned. Just for a minute. The cub, now nearly grown, always lingers at the edge of the clearing. The mother never comes too close anymore. But I know who they are, and I think they remember me. Last year, there was a new cub beside the older one. Maybe a sibling, maybe not. I'll never know. But when the older one looked at me, really looked at me, there was something there. Not fear, not curiosity, recognition. I've seen a lot of things in these woods. Storms that rip trees from the ground. Coyotes that scream like lost souls. People who come and go without leaving a trace. But nothing has ever shaken me like the moment that Bear looked at me with those human eyes. She asked for help, and I gave it. Sometimes, all it takes to change a life, any life, is the courage to open the door. And sometimes, nature gives you a second chance to believe in something bigger than yourself. Not magic, not fate, just the raw, undeniable power of connection. That bear changed me, made me softer, more awake, more human, maybe. I keep the trout bone on my shelf to this day. A reminder that even in the middle of nowhere, with no one watching, the right choice matters. The forest hasn't changed much, but I have. And every time I hear a rustle in the trees around springtime, I find myself standing up, brushing off my jeans, and opening that same creaky door, just in case someone needs me again.